The sea that swallows time. They say time moves differently over the Bermuda Triangle. Ships vanish without a ripple. Planes fade from radar as if slipping through the air itself. Some call it a curse, others a portal. But whatever it is, it has been devouring both logic and legend for nearly 100 years. The sailors called it the Devil's Sea. The pilots called it the place where compasses go mad. And yet, even in the face of so much loss, no one truly knows what waits beneath. In this episode of Mystery Vault 80, we sail beyond science, where the ocean meets the unknown. From Flight 19's final words, "Everything looks wrong," to ghost ships discovered drifting, meals still warm on their tables, we'll follow the trail of those who entered the triangle and never returned. But stay close, because once we cross into this water, even the truth begins to disappear. You're watching Mystery Vault 80, where every story hides a question. Tap subscribe, give this video a like, and tell us, what do you think really happens inside the Bermuda Triangle? Together, we'll unlock one mystery at a time, before the tide washes it away. The sea that swallows time. Somewhere between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, the sea hums differently. The waves here don't just move, they whisper. In December of 1945, 5 U.S. Navy aircraft disappeared while flying routine maneuvers over this stretch of ocean. Their leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, radioed a haunting final message. Everything looks strange. Even the ocean doesn't look as it should. Moments later, static, and then nothing. That night, a rescue mission was launched. A Martin Mariner aircraft carrying 13 men. Within minutes of takeoff, it too was gone. 2 disappearances. One night. No debris ever recovered. Some call it bad weather. Others, faulty navigation. But to those who have studied the region, it was something else entirely. The beginning of an invisible pattern. Since then, over 1,000 lives have been claimed by what sailors call the Devil's Triangle. Ships found adrift with dinner still on the table, compasses spinning like they've lost the Earth's pulse, and engines that simply stop. Scientists have tried to explain it. Methane gas eruptions, electromagnetic fields, violent storms. Yet none of these theories explain the total lack of wreckage, or the eerie calm reported before each disappearance. Witnesses describe glowing mists, distorted skies, and a sense of time standing still, as if something unseen shifts the laws of reality itself. One sailor who barely made it out alive said, "I don't know how long I was gone. Hours felt like minutes, minutes felt like days. When I looked at my watch, it had stopped." Was the Bermuda Triangle a natural anomaly, a tear in time, or an ancient secret that predates human understanding? Whatever it is, it's been calling travelers to their end for centuries. And the deeper we look, the stranger the truth becomes. Echoes from the mist. What if the ocean remembers? What if the whispers we hear in the crashing waves are not sounds at all, but echoes from those who vanished? The Bermuda Triangle has never been silent. It hums, faintly, like a heartbeat beneath the surface. In 1970, pilot Bruce Jernon described flying into a glowing tunnel of clouds, a ring of energy swirling around his small aircraft. Inside, his compass spun endlessly, and for a brief moment, he felt as though he was floating outside of time. When he emerged, he was already over Miami, half an hour ahead of schedule. The radar logs confirmed it. The plane had simply skipped space and time. What could cause such a thing? Some theorists point to magnetic vortices, invisible whirlpools of energy connecting Earth's electromagnetic lines. Others whisper of portals, gateways that occasionally open when cosmic conditions align. The old sailors had another name for it. The mouth of the sea, a place that swallows men, ships, and even ours. There are other stories too. In 2003, a yacht named the Witchcraft sent out a distress call just a mile from Miami's shore. The Coast Guard arrived within minutes. The sea was calm. The boat was gone. No debris, no trace, just silence, and a faint echo of static that faded into the open sky. Could these echoes be remnants of energy, imprints of lost moments replaying themselves? Or are we hearing voices from somewhere else entirely, trapped between realities? The Bermuda Triangle is more than a place. It's a wound, one that never fully closes. And each time it opens, the world loses another story. The files they tried to bury. In every disappearance, there's an official story, and then there's the truth hidden between the lines. The Bermuda Triangle has both. For decades, U.S. military and maritime authorities denied keeping special records about disappearances in the region. Publicly, they called it coincidence, navigation error, or bad weather. But behind closed doors, documents told another story. Declassified memos from the U.S. Navy, some released under the Freedom of Information Act, mention anomalous electromagnetic readings, instrumentation loss, and radio frequency distortions centered precisely between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. And these weren't isolated. Between 1945 and 1979, more than 40 Navy vessels and 75 aircraft logged unexplained equipment malfunctions within that same triangle of coordinates. One chilling note from a 1952 Coast Guard report reads, "Signal distortion persistent. Compass deviation plus 14 degrees. Pilot unable to correct course before vanishing from radar." The file ends abruptly. No wreckage ever found. That pattern, signal interference, deviation, then disappearance, is now recognized among researchers as the Bermuda sequence. Yet, official agencies still refuse to acknowledge any correlation. It's as if someone wanted to erase an invisible thread connecting all these vanishings. In 1978, oceanographers conducting magnetic mapping stumbled upon an unusual discovery. Beneath parts of the triangle's seafloor lay vast deposits of magnetite, a mineral capable of distorting compasses and electrical instruments. The theory? When undersea volcanic gases or seismic shifts release sudden bursts of magnetite particles, they could disrupt aircraft instruments, or even create brief magnetic vortexes. But the same files reveal something stranger. The anomalies seem to pulse. Not constant, not random. They follow a cycle, peaking every 28 to 32 years. And those peaks align eerily well with major disappearance waves. 1945, Flight 191963, USS Cyclops 1991, Trislander Aircraft 681-2015, the cargo ship El Faro. Different eras, same invisible pattern. Investigators began to suspect the triangle wasn't just a place. It might be a mechanism, a natural or unnatural system that activates under precise conditions. Some scientists compared it to the Northern Lights, triggered by magnetic energy from solar activity. Others whispered of energy corridors, remnants of a lost civilization, channels that connect dimensions. But what if the disappearances are not accidents at all? What if someone or something understands how to use these anomalies? There's evidence to suggest that certain military experiments coincided exactly with some vanishings. The Philadelphia experiment, for instance, a rumored 1943 Navy test to make a ship invisible using electromagnetic fields, supposedly occurred near the edge of the triangle. Witnesses claimed the ship vanished and reappeared minutes later, with crew members fused into the metal hull. Dismissed as myth. Yet, the parallels between that experiment's coordinates and the triangle's energy zones are undeniable. So we must ask, are these natural forces or echoes of human curiosity gone too far? Because if the U.S. Navy once tampered with the fabric of space around the triangle, then the disappearances may not be nature's doing at all. The lost maps and the Bimini Road. Every legend has a starting point. For the Bermuda Triangle, it might lie beneath the sands of time, or, more precisely, beneath the turquoise waters near Bimini Island, in the westernmost part of the triangle. In 1968, divers stumbled upon something extraordinary, a long, straight line of massive limestone blocks, each perfectly cut and aligned, stretching over half a mile along the ocean floor. To the untrained eye, it looked like a road. To believers, it was proof. The discovery ignited headlines around the world. Has Atlantis been found in the Bermuda Triangle? The site was quickly named the Bimini Road, and its origins have been debated ever since. Marine geologists insisted it was a natural formation, fractured beach rock shaped by erosion. But researchers from the University of Miami and independent divers countered with startling evidence. Some stones appeared cut and placed in deliberate patterns. Others were stacked, forming what looked like corners or platforms. And most strange of all, traces of ancient tool marks were visible along certain edges. What civilization could have done this thousands of years before the islands of the Caribbean were even mapped? Ancient sea charts, drawn by explorers like Pyrie Reis in the early 1500s, depicted parts of the Atlantic with impossible accuracy. His map, reconstructed from older sources, shows land masses and coastlines long before modern cartography existed, including what looks hauntingly like an island chain beneath where the triangle now lies. Some historians claim these charts trace back to even older maps, Atlantean in origin. And if Atlantis truly existed, the Bimini Road could be its last surviving trace, a gateway to a sunken world that once harnessed incredible energy. Theorists argue that the Bermuda Triangle isn't random, it's engineered, that the strange magnetic fields and disappearances might not be byproducts of nature, but remnants of ancient technology buried beneath the ocean floor. Tesla himself once suggested that electromagnetic energy could be transmitted wirelessly through the Earth's crust. What if millennia ago, a civilization mastered this power? Its ruins still hum beneath the waves of Bermuda. Even local fishermen in Bimini tell stories of lights flickering beneath their boats, of compasses spinning wildly, and voices echoing underwater, like whispers trying to reach the surface. But when scientists return to the site, the anomalies vanish, as if the triangle itself chooses when to reveal its secrets. Could the disappearances, the lost ships, the vanished aircraft, be drawn toward the same energy? Could the triangle be a window, not a place? A connection between past and present, between our world and another? The survivors who escaped the triangle. Some stories survive not through legends, but through those who live to tell them. In a place known for silence and loss, a few voices have emerged from the Bermuda Triangle. Voices of men who went in and somehow came back. Everything went white. My instruments spun out. Then suddenly, it was like time didn't exist. Those words came from Bruce Jernon, a pilot who took off from Andros Island, Bahamas, in December 1970. He never expected to make history. Jernon described encountering what he later called an electronic fog, a vast, glowing tunnel of clouds formed directly in his flight path, rotating, pulsing with light, and wrapping around his plane like a vortex. His instruments malfunctioned. His compass spun uncontrollably. And yet, when he finally broke free, something impossible had happened. He had traveled over 100 miles in barely 3 minutes. Radar at Miami Center confirmed what Jernon saw. His plane appeared out of nowhere, over the coast, long before physics could explain it. Jernon's account is not isolated. In 1945, Flight 19, a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy torpedo bombers, vanished while on a routine training exercise. Experienced pilots, trained navigators, and fully fueled aircraft all disappeared after reporting compass malfunctions and disorientation. Their final radio messages were chilling. Everything looks strange. The ocean doesn't look as it should. We can't tell where the sky ends and the sea begins. Within hours, they were gone. A massive search operation was launched, but even the rescue plane sent to find them vanished without a trace. 27 men, 6 aircraft, 0 survivors. Some say they encountered a storm, others a magnetic anomaly, or worse, an opening in time itself. Then, there's Charles Taylor, the lead flight instructor of Flight 19. His final log entry, recovered from Navy records, contained a single line that still chills investigators. It looks like we're entering white water. Nothing seems right. Other survivors, sailors and fishermen, have described similar encounters. Their compasses spin, radios cut to static, the sky flickers between lightning and silence, and sometimes they see shadows moving in the mist. One captain in 1994 swore he saw an entire ship from another era emerge briefly from a fog bank, sails and all, before vanishing again into thin air. Could these people have brushed against something that bends the fabric of reality? Did they pass through what scientists now call a spatial distortion zone, a rift where electromagnetic and gravitational fields collapse into chaos? Or did they step briefly into another time? Every account, every survivor, adds one more strange detail to the Bermuda Triangle's legend, but none bring us closer to an answer. What if these survivors didn't escape by luck? What if they were sent back? Science, shadows, and the search for an explanation. For decades, the Bermuda Triangle has been a riddle tangled in fact and folklore, a place where reason seems to vanish as easily as ships and planes. Scientists, skeptics, and believers have all tried to answer the same haunting question. What really happens inside the triangle? The first theory points to magnetic anomalies, strange disturbances that warp navigational instruments. Earth's magnetic field runs through this region, but in certain areas, the compass no longer points toward true north. It points toward magnetic north. For a pilot or a ship's captain, even a few degrees off course could mean drifting hundreds of miles into open ocean, never to return. In 1975, the U.S. Coast Guard quietly admitted that compass variations do exist in the Bermuda Triangle, yet not strong enough, they claimed, to cause such extreme vanishings. But what if there's something deeper, something beneath the sea that distorts not just instruments but space itself? Marine researchers have discovered vast methane hydrate fields beneath the ocean floor. When disturbed, they can erupt like underwater volcanoes, releasing massive bubbles that reduce water density, causing ships to sink instantly without a trace. No distress signal, no wreckage, just silence. Others propose rogue waves, unpredictable, towering walls of water over 100 feet high that appear out of calm seas. In 2018, satellite imagery confirmed their existence in the North Atlantic, powerful enough to snap a tanker in half. Could the Triangle's legendary storms simply be nature at its most unforgiving? Yet not every explanation fits. Flight 19 vanished under clear skies. The SS Marine Sulphur Queen sent no Mayday before disappearing in perfect weather. The Star Tiger and Star Ariel were state-of-the-art aircraft. Both vanished mid-flight without a single radar return. Nature can be cruel, but not that precise. Some physicists suggest electromagnetic vortices, swirling fields that can bend light and distort time. These theories echo reports of pilots who claim to have flown through glowing tunnels or watched their instruments count backward, seconds repeating themselves as though caught in a temporal loop. One study from the 1990s, conducted by oceanographer Dr. Richard McIver, proposed that intense lightning storms in the region could create plasma discharges, natural electromagnetic fields so powerful they interfere with radar and communications. These discharges might even produce ball lightning, floating orbs of energy capable of frying instruments midair. To a witness, it could look like an otherworldly light, or worse, a sign of something alive in the mist. But others turn to the supernatural. Ancient tales passed through generations of sailors. The lost continent of Atlantis, some claim, lies beneath these waters. They believe the triangle's disturbances come from remnants of advanced energy crystals buried deep under the sea, remnants of a civilization that once wielded technology beyond human understanding. Of course, mainstream science dismisses such ideas. Yet even skeptics can't explain why, despite satellite tracking, sonar mapping, and advanced radar systems, disappearances still happen here today. Every year, aircraft report magnetic interference. Ships lose GPS contact for minutes at a time. In each case, no one can explain why. Is the Bermuda Triangle a graveyard of human error, or a door into something unseen? As we continue deeper into the Triangle's history, one question echoes louder than the storms themselves. Are we witnessing nature's fury or the echoes of another dimension? The investigations that went nowhere. When governments investigate a mystery, they're supposed to bring closure, to give the living answers and the dead peace. But in the Bermuda Triangle, every investigation seemed to end the same way, in silence. Faint radio chatter fades in, nothing found at Grid 6. In 1945, when Flight 19 disappeared, the U.S. Navy launched one of the largest search and rescue operations in history. More than 300 planes and 13 ships combed the Atlantic. They found nothing, no oil slick, no debris, not even a seat cushion. The official Navy report first blamed pilot error, then mysteriously changed its conclusion to cause unknown. Even the rescue plane that went looking for Flight 19 vanished. 6 men erased from the record in a single burst of radio static. A decade later, another case, the SS Marine Sulphur Queen, a 524-foot tanker loaded with molten sulfur. On February 4, 1963, she sent her last routine message, position normal. 24 hours later, gone. The Coast Guard's final statement read, "The ship's disappearance remains unexplained. Not a single trace of its 39-man crew ever washed ashore." In the 1970s, the public demanded answers. Congressional hearings were suggested, but quietly shelved. Then the files began to vanish. Internal memos, radar logs, weather reports, entire folders marked missing from archive. Journalists who requested them under the Freedom of Information Act received heavily redacted pages, black lines where the truth should have been. Some whistleblowers claimed that military surveillance had tracked unknown radar echoes near disappearances, targets that moved faster than any known aircraft. Official response? Radar malfunction. Even commercial investigators met resistance. In 1980, marine salvage expert Dr. Lawrence Kusch compiled hundreds of reports. He concluded that many disappearances were exaggerated. Yet when he compared Navy records with insurance claims, the numbers didn't match. Several ships that should have been found were still listed as missing, presumed lost. It seems someone wanted the Triangle statistics to stay uncertain. Across the Atlantic, British archives told a similar story. Documents concerning vanished RAF aircraft in the region were marked classified until 2050. No explanation given. Why would files on a weather flight need to remain secret for nearly a century? Meanwhile, oceanographic missions by the Woods Hole Institute and NOAA reported massive sonar voids, pockets of water that absorbed sound completely. Their data sets were later lost due to system error. Scientists quietly admitted that certain anomalies had never been mapped again, as though the ocean itself erased the evidence. For some, this pattern of vanishing data is coincidence. For others, it's proof of a cover-up, perhaps military, perhaps something more cosmic. Because every time humanity shines a light into the Bermuda Triangle, the secrets beneath the sea, beneath the glittering surface of the Bermuda Triangle lies a world few have seen, and even fewer have returned from unchanged. The sea here is ancient, layered with silt, salt, and secrets. Sonar scans reveal strange patterns, shapes that shouldn't exist, perfect angles buried beneath the sand. Some divers call it the Atlantis Zone, others the Triangle's graveyard. In 1968, a diver named Dr. Manson Valentine claimed to have found something extraordinary near the Bahamas. Rows of massive stone blocks stretching hundreds of feet across the seabed. They looked like roads, paved, geometric, too precise to be natural. Locals called it the Bimini Road. Scientists called it coincidence. But for the divers who've swum there, the feeling is unmistakable, as if the ocean floor itself is breathing, waiting. Submersible drones later captured images of what appeared to be structures, right angles, corridors, even stair-like ridges. When geologists tried to study the site, their equipment malfunctioned. Compasses spun wildly, data recorders shut off, and video footage returned corrupted, wiped clean after surfacing. The readings were unlike anything recorded in ordinary oceanic geology. Then, in 2001, a team of Canadian researchers mapping the deep seabed of Cuba's western coast made a stunning announcement. Sonar had picked up what seemed to be an ancient underwater city nearly 2,000 feet below the surface. Massive stone formations, pyramids, rectangles, circular towers, all laid out in perfect alignment. Could it be Atlantis? Or evidence that the Bermuda Triangle hides more than lost ships? But when they tried to return for verification, funding was suddenly cut. The coordinates were marked as restricted. The official reason, Environmental Protection Zone. Yet, divers who quietly returned under private sponsorship said something else. That military submarines were already there, patrolling the grid as if guarding something. One diver, speaking anonymously in 2003, described a metallic object half buried in sand, roughly the size of a small aircraft. It didn't look human-made, he said, and when we touched it, our instruments went dead. His footage never released. His name never confirmed. Some theories suggest the triangle hides electromagnetic anomalies, natural energy fields powerful enough to bend instruments, wipe data, and distort time itself. Others believe the ocean floor conceals an ancient energy source, a remnant of a lost civilization that once thrived long before modern history. Whatever the truth, one thing remains constant. The deeper explorers go, the stranger the readings become. As light fades and the abyss swallows sight, divers report the same thing, a sense of being watched. Machines malfunction. Communications go silent, and the sea grows warm. These are not myths. They're logs, sonar files, and lost transmissions, fragments of truth scattered across the ocean floor. Each one another whisper from a world that refuses to be understood. The sky above the triangle. For decades, the ocean has swallowed ships without mercy. But the Bermuda Triangle doesn't stop at the waves. It reaches upward into the skies, claiming aircraft and crews that should have never vanished. The clouds above this mysterious region are no ordinary skies. They twist, pulse, and sometimes shimmer. The first and most famous case came in 1945, Flight 19, a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy Avenger bombers on a routine training mission. Their route was simple: fly east from Fort Lauderdale, turn north, then return to base. But what should have been a 3-hour exercise became one of the greatest aviation mysteries in history. At 3:45 p.m., flight leader Lieutenant Charles Taylor radioed that his compasses had failed. "We can't find west," he said. "Everything looks strange. Even the ocean doesn't look right." His voice carried confusion, then fear. Minutes later, every aircraft in the formation vanished from radar. No distress signals, no wreckage, just silence. The Navy sent a massive rescue operation, ships, planes, and over 300 personnel. But then, one of the search planes, a PBM Mariner with 13 men aboard, also disappeared without a trace. Witnesses on a nearby vessel saw a flash of fire in the distance, and then nothing. 2 disappearances, 1 storm, 0 survivors. Over the decades, pilots continued to report strange experiences: sudden white mists, magnetic interference, and disorientation even on clear days. Instruments spun uncontrollably, clocks lost time, and horizon lines seemed to vanish. Some described glowing orbs hovering over the water, following their aircraft before abruptly shooting into the clouds. Others said their engines died midair, only to restart moments later after emerging from a mist. In 1970, a pilot named Bruce Jernon reported something extraordinary. He was flying from Andros Island to Florida when he encountered a giant elliptical cloud that seemed to move with him. As he entered, lightning spiraled around the cockpit, and his navigation instruments went haywire. When he finally emerged, radar control said he was already over Miami, a 250-mile trip that should have taken nearly an hour, completed in just 3 minutes. Jernon swore he had entered a time tunnel. NASA scientists later dismissed it as weather interference, but to this day his logbook, radar data, and eyewitness statement remain unexplained. The Triangle sky has become as feared as its ocean. Commercial aircraft give the region a wide berth when possible. Private pilots speak of magnetic anomalies that cause compasses to spin out of control, forcing manual navigation by stars. And some radar operators have reported phantom blips, echoes of flights that disappeared decades earlier. Could it be electromagnetic storms, dimensional rifts, or something far older, a natural force that manipulates both time and perception? Every time an aircraft crosses this region, there's a chance, however small, that it may join the others, lost beyond the veil of explanation. The triangle takes what it wants, and sometimes it gives it back. The final theory, message from the deep. The Bermuda Triangle has taken countless ships, planes, and lives. But what if it was never about the disappearances? What if it's been trying to communicate? In the 1990s, a series of strange acoustic signals were recorded by hydrophones deep in the Atlantic. They called it the bloop, a low, resonant frequency so powerful it was detected over 3,000 miles away. Scientists first believed it was an icequake, the sound of massive ice sheets cracking. But when compared to known recordings, the frequency was organic, alive. Then came a second recording, a rhythmic, pulsing tone detected off the coast of Bermuda. 3 pulses, then silence, every 37 minutes, like a beacon waiting for an answer. Researchers try to triangulate the signal, but every attempt failed. The coordinates kept changing, as though the source itself was moving. When a U.S. Navy vessel was dispatched to investigate, the transmission stopped completely. No trace, no signal, no explanation. Then, in 2015, a submersible drone scanning a deep trench 100 miles north of Puerto Rico recorded something extraordinary. A geometric structure, metallic in appearance, sitting 13,000 feet beneath the surface. Roughly circular, 1,200 feet in diameter. Its surface showed symmetrical lines, and at the center, a massive depression, as though something once fit perfectly inside. The data was sent to researchers for analysis. 2 days later, the drone's signal was lost. The feed cut to static. When the recovery team reached the coordinates, nothing. No wreckage. No black box. Just sand and silence. So what are we dealing with? A geological anomaly? A secret military installation? Or, as some fringe physicists suggest, an energy sink, a naturally occurring magnetic funnel connecting different points in time and space? Ancient mariners spoke of the Devil's Sea. Modern scientists call it a magnetospheric anomaly. Yet both describe the same thing, a place that bends reality. A gate, a warning, or perhaps the message. If you map all major disappearances in the triangle, ships, planes, even lost communication signals, they form a near-perfect spiral, a pattern that seems intentional, as if someone or something is tracing a symbol large enough for only satellites to see. In the end, we may never know the truth. The ocean keeps its secrets well, but every few years, another vessel, another plane, another voice disappears. And sometimes, if you tune into the right frequency, you might still hear them, whispering from the deep. If you've made it this far into the mystery, thank you for diving into the unknown with us. For those who crave the truth behind the world's most chilling, unsolved enigmas, don't let this be the end of your journey. Subscribe, share this story, and tell us what you believe lies beneath the Bermuda Triangle. Was it a natural force, or a message left for humanity to uncover? Let's unravel the next enigma together. They vanished, not into the sea, but into history itself. Maybe the triangle isn't a curse, maybe it's a mirror, one that reflects how much we still don't understand about our world. Because even now, in an age of satellites and science, people still disappear here without explanation. So what is it really? A doorway? A distortion? Or just another reminder that some mysteries are bigger than us? Leave your thoughts below, your theories, your questions, even your fears. And if you love exploring the unexplained, join us again. Subscribe to Mystery Vault 80. Share this journey with a friend, and keep the light of curiosity burning. Because in the darkness of the unknown, that light might be the only thing that leads us home.